I'm joined by Eric Johnson from the Knick. Welcome to the
Thank
Canadian International Television Festival.
Thank you very much.
So you're here for the Knick, and it is in its season. It just completed season
Yep.
1, and going into season 2 next in 2015.
That's correct.
It's set in the 1900s, which is very different than what we're used to today.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yes. What do you think it is that captivates today's audiences?
I think the thing that captivates people the most is the similarities between those different time periods when life was so different, when technology was so different. The day-to-day life of people, the emotional things that people went through can be very familiar. In particular, our show, I think the thing that was most amazing is how little doctors knew back then and how much they know in just 100 years, how much better our lives are because of what these pioneering doctors were doing. So I think that's the most staggering, interesting thing about the show.
And there's a lot of gruesome, kind of gross, graphic scenes.
Yeah.
As an actor, what's it like working in that environment?
The first surgery we did was a case of placenta previa, which we see in the first episode, and we had rehearsed it all, but you rehearse it all without the blood flowing, and they let you know, okay, it's going to bleed here. You're going to try and stop the bleeding. That's the whole purpose of what you're doing. You're stopping the bleeding. You don't want the person to die, and it looks so amazingly real when you're there, and suddenly blood is spurting out of this person, and you're doing everything you can, panicked, to actually try and stop the bleeding. It becomes very second nature. You're like, stop. I'm not a doctor, but I will stop the bleeding. It's I think we went through 5 gallons of blood. It was very very real at moments, but incredibly exciting. The adrenaline was pumping for real. You didn't have to act that part.
Is there anything that you were asked to do, maybe not in that specific scene, but in the operating room that you just were like, no?
No, actually, I would have done anything. I loved it. Learning how to suture, learning all the medical things that we got to learn. I love that stuff. So I hope we get to do more of that in season 2. I felt strangely prepared to be a doctor. I felt that if there was a problem with your gallbladder, I could have successfully removed that with no problems. No way that I should be able to do that, just overly confident for no reason.
So if you were out on the street and somebody had a little attack, do you feel like you'd just go running up?
I could totally help them as a doctor from the year 1900, which might be a lot less help than it should be. It might end up killing them. We kill a lot of people in this show. We don't know what we're doing.
What kind of preparation and research did you have to go through for your role?
It was a lot of reading, just mostly reading. New York, we shot in New York, which is where it's set. And there's an amazing museum there called the Tenement Museum, which is all about the people living in the Lower East Side. And so there was incredible resources that were given to us, and then I was able to find online in terms of medical history. And luckily for me, I found it fascinating. So I was voracious with those books, and again, I look forward to getting to do it again and digging even deeper now.
Was there any consultants on set?
Yes, Dr. Stanley Burns. I mean, he has one of the most incredible medical history archives in the world, if not the best archive in the world. And so he was there on set. He's a surgeon himself, so he walked us through the surgeries. And what was amazing is that the people who taught him when he was going through medical school were taught by the same doctors that we were portraying. So the separation isn't that great. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was very, to think about it, and like we're standing talking to somebody who had a direct connection to what we were doing, it was a little unnerving to actually think that we haven't progressed. It hasn't been that long.
No, considering the actual time difference.
Yeah, but he was incredible, and what a font of information he was, and some of the pictures that he had were just so gruesome. You thought the stuff on our show was gruesome. His pictures were.
That's what turned you off?
Yeah, the pictures were the fake stuff is all fine, but those were real pictures. Looking at infants with meningitis is don't Google that. It's just a horrible thing. Don't Google that for yourself.
What's it like working on an American show versus a Canadian show?
There's not a lot of difference. I mean, a lot of the things that I've worked on have been U.S. productions shot in Canada. I owe a lot of my career to that, and so there's no difference in the crew or anything like that. The job's the job.
Yeah.
We all work long hours, no matter what side of the border you're on. It's funny. I think in some ways. Domestically, people appreciate when you have successes outside the country, which I appreciate, but I'm also very proud of what we do domestically and what we do here in the country. So I don't think there's really any difference.
And if you weren't an actor, what would you be doing?
Doctor in 1900. No. When I was a kid, I wanted to do a lot of things. I think now I'd probably be in the restaurant industry or something, cooking, doing something. But I think when I was a kid, I wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to be like a marine biologist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I realized I had to go to school forever, and I didn't really like school. So that I said I'll play one on TV one day.
All right, and final question for you. What do you hope viewers take away from the Knick?
Wow. I think the thing that I love about the Knick so much that I hope people can take away is that it lives in a moral gray area. The bad people aren't necessarily bad. It's not a binary system of good and evil. People are very complicated. People do things for complicated reasons, and seeing how close we still are to those times, how barbaric really we still are in a lot of ways, and how so many things in our society haven't changed. So I hope that's what people take away from it.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and we'll look for you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more interviews from the 2014 Canadian International Television Festival's Red Carpet.